Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel, and we are finally there on day 4 of our 100 days coding challenge. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, do check them out. They are there in a dedicated playlist right there on my channel. So for some of the beginners, it's really useful. So do refer to them and then continue this video. Before that, right now we are there on 93 subscribers and we will be a family of 100 subscribers very soon. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and be one of them. Now let's just discuss what all we require to start today's lessons. The very first thing we need is our laptop, and then we need a stable internet connection, and just in case you're blind or something, you can use your spectacles. Now let's discuss what we are going to cover in this video. So again, we have a very long list of things to cover today, and I don't think so we'll be able to cover it in a single video. So let's just again split it in two parts, part 1 and part 2. And in part 1 we will be covering tables in HTML, semantics in tables, call span and row span attributes. Then we have forms in HTML, input form element and placeholders and labels, and then we'll be knowing about button elements. So these are the things we'll be covering in this video. So let me just refer to my lecture and then I'll summarize you everything I learned. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. The first one we'll be covering is tables in HTML. So in the first lesson we covered tables in HTML, और tables in HTML में tables क्या होते हैं हमने पढ़ा. So tables are used to represent real life datas in a tabular form. So tabular form में हमें पता है कि we have rows and columns, and देन हमारे पास उस पर्टिकुलर टेबल को मेंशन करने के लिए, आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए हमारे पास हेडिंग होता है. सो इन ऑर्डर टू इंक्लूड दैट हेडिंग वी यूज़ द कैप्शन टैग, एंड टेबल को इंक्लूड करने के लिए हमारे HTML फाइल में वी यूज़ द टेबल टैग. सो बोथ हैव स्टार्टिंग एज वेल एज एंडिंग टैग्स. ओपनिंग और क्लोजिंग टैग्स दोनों होते हैं दोनों के लिए. एंड देन in order to represent a row we use tr tag, and in order to represent data in the HTML in the table we use td tag, and हमारे टेबल में जैसे हेडर डिसाइड करने के लिए वी यूज़ द th टैग. जैसे हमारे पास एक डेटा है, सो उस डेटा में हमें लाइक we have to include the items and the prices. So items and the prices of the table will be the headings of the table, and the caption will be food list. So in that way we have the captions, we have the td tag which is used to include the data, we have tr tag which is used to include the rows, and we have the th tag which is used to include the headings. Now we have rows and columns. Rows are usually horizontal and columns are vertical. So we will be reading knowing about this in the next video. So let's just get into the next video, that is going to be semantics in tables, and I'll be covering the lecture and get back to you and summarize it. सो सिमेंटिक्स इन टेबल्स. सिमेंटिक्स जो है हमने ऑलरेडी प्रीवियस वीडियो में कवर किया था, एंड वी नो कि सिमेंटिक्स जो होते हैं आर यूज टू गिव अ पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे टू आर डेटा. सो हमारे टेबल्स में भी दे आर यूज टू गिव अ पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रक्चर टू आर टेबल्स, लाइक वी कैन डिवाइड इट इनटू हेड, बॉडी एंड फुट. सो जो टैग्स है जो यूज़ किए जाते हैं इन ऑर्डर टू डिवाइड देम आर टी हेड टैग विच इज़ यूज टू रैप अप द टेबल्स हेडर, एंड वी हैव टी बॉडी जो कि पूरा डेटा इंक्लूड करता है अपने अंदर, और हमारे पास लास्ट में है टी फुट टैग विच इंक्लूड्स द फुटर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, like when we have to add up the total prices of something, so we use the sum. In that cases we use a t-footer tag. T-footer tag is not usually used much, so the very much used one are t-head tag and t-body tag. So semantics tags जो होते हैं, semantics in tables are just used to give a structured form to the tables. So let's just move on to our next lecture, that is going to be call span and row span attributes. And let me just complete the lecture and get back to you guys. So in row span and call span, let's just simplify it in a simple language. Call span जो है that is column span, and row span you must have already understood, that is row span. rows का जो एरिया जिसने उसने कवर किया है, द पर्टिकुलर सेल उसने कितने कॉलम्स या कितने रोज कवर किए हैं इज नोन एज द कॉल स्पैन. द एरिया विच इज़ बीन कवर्ड बाय अ सिंगल सेल इज़ नोन एज कॉल स्पैन या रो स्पैन. रो स्पैन जो होता है वो डिटरमाइन करता है रोज के लिए, एंड कॉल स्पैन इज यूज टू डिटरमाइन फॉर द कॉलम्स. सो जैसे कि हमारे पास केसेस होते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी हैव प्राइजेस, एंड प्राइजेस के अंदर वी अगेन हैव सब टाइप्स, लाइक प्राइजेस कैन बी इन INR एंड देन दे कैन बी इन USD. सो इन ऑर्डर टू अगेन डिफ्रेंशिएट, जैसे हमारा अभी प्राइस जो है वो हमारा कैसे है, रोज है, दो रोज हैं, लाइक USD एंड INR आर देयर इन द सेम header under the price tag. So in order to divide it, we use row spans and column spans. Let's now just get into forms in HTML, and let me cover it and get back to you all. A word about the forms in HTML. So in order to include forms in our HTML, we use the tag form. So forms are used to collect data from our users, और ये जो data collect किया जाता है वो किसी और यूज़र को सेंड करने के लिए we have to use the action tag, कि वो action कहाँ को जाएगा, the data which has been collected वो किधर receive होगा. So in order to specify that, we use the action tag. So हमारे फॉर्म्स में इतना ही था. लेट्स जस्ट गेट इनटू द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर एंड कवर दैट. सो इन द इनपुट फॉर्म एलिमेंट्स हमने देखा कि व्हाट आर द काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स दैट कैन बी इंक्लूडेड इन द फॉर्म्स. लाइक फॉर्म्स में बहुत सारे हमने टाइप्स देखे हैं. लाइक कहीं पे हमारा नेम के लिए होता है, सम आर सेक्शंस देयर जहाँ पे हमें पासवर्ड टाइप करना होता है, एंड देर आर सम सेक्शंस जहाँ पे हमें डेट, लाइक DOB के लिए हमारे पास स्पेसिफिक टाइप ऑफ लाइक होता है जहाँ पे हम वहाँ पे टेक्स्ट नहीं यूज़ कर सकते. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हमने DOB के लिए लिया है तो वहाँ पे सिर्फ नंबर्स ही आएंगे. यू कैंट एंटर अ टेक्स्ट इन दैट एरिया. सो दीज आर वेरियस काइंड्स ऑफ एलिमेंट्स. सो दीज आर नोन एज द टाइप. जब हम लिखते हैं, इनपुट करते हैं, इनपुट में हमें टाइप को स्पेसिफाई करना होता है. फॉर एग्जांपल वी नीड टेक्स्ट, वी आर गोइंग टू एंटर पासवर्ड, या वी आर गोइंग टू एंटर द टाइम, या वी आर गोइंग टू एंटर द डेट ऑफ बर्थ ऑफ समवन. सो वो जो है एट्रीब्यूट जो है वो अपने आप वंस यू एंटर द टाइप दे आर बीन लिस्टेड एंड यू कैन चूज फ्रॉम देम. So this is it in this lecture. Let's get back to the next one, which is placeholders and labels, and I'll get back to you. So in this video we covered about placeholders and labels. जो placeholders होते हैं they are used to represent what that box is going to hold, what information is that box going to hold. For example, when we enter our Instagram page, हमारे जो boxes होते हैं in the username वो पीछे transparent में लिखा आता है to enter username या email. So that specification which is used is placed under placeholders. और जो labels होते हैं they are used to form a connection between the placeholders and the text outside. For example, कुछ sites पे अगर तुम जाओगे तो तुम जब अपने name पे क्लिक करोगे the cursor automatically gets activated in the placeholder. So that is how we form a connection between the placeholder as well as the text outside. So labels are used for that purpose. So the very classical way of using labels, which we'll be studying afterwards, is using it in the form of for and id. जो for है we will be using it in the label और जो input में हम उसी form को again represent करेंगे in the form of id. id क्या होता है? Unique identification of a particular thing. So we can't use it again and again in the particular HTML file. So किसी चीज़ को एक ही बार अगर हमारे HTML फाइल में रिप्रेजेंट करना है तो we'll be using id in that. So this is it in this lecture. Let's get to the next lecture, which is button element, and I'll get back to you all. So in the last lecture we covered the button element. So button element we all know कि जब हमारे पास सारा information लिख दिया जाता है तो we have at the last कि submit या enter जो होता है that is in the form of a button. So button element is used to transfer the data या submit the data. So हमारे पास HTML में button elements are of three types. एक जो होता है that is used to submit all of the data to the source whichever we have provided. दूसरा जो होता है that is just in the form of button, मतलब उसका कोई actual function नहीं होता in submitting the data. And the last one is reset of data. So reset क्या करता है? If we have entered something wrong in our like placeholders, we can just enter reset and जितना भी data जो होता है that gets erased off. So these are the three kinds of buttons which are used in the HTML. और फिर हम लोग buttons जो है they can also be inserted in the form of input element. So input में हम लोग type button specify करके भी अपने forms में जो है वो buttons को include कर सकते हैं. So this is everything we learned for today. Let's get into the practice questions and get back. So this is the thing we are going to present on our VS Code. So let's just start. At first we'll be writing a table, for starting a table on our file, and then we have to write the first caption. So a test table with merged cells we'll be writing over here with the use of caption since it is a heading. So let's just write that. A test table with merged cells. So once we are done with that, we will be adding there are total of 4 rows and 4 columns. So first we'll be adding the simple ones, that is males and females one. So let's just write the males and females one first and then create the rest of the table. So for adding the row, we will be using the tr tag, and inside the tr tag, in order to enter the data, we will be using the td tag. So let's write the males and then let's include the data in between that. So again we'll be using td tag to add the 0.002 value, and again in order to include the 43%. Now once we are done with the males, Let's start with females one. Again we have to make a row, so we'll be using tr tag again, and data ke liye we'll be using td tag, so let's use td and write females in between. Now for entering the data we'll be again using td tag, and let's enter the height, weight and red eyes percentage accordingly. So now we are done with the males and females thing. Let's now just go and check out on our page what it looks like. So this is how it looks like. All of the data is there, but let's add some borders around it. So let's get back, and in the table we'll be using border, and we have to specify the color whichever we want. So let's write black. Black is the color I'll be choosing, so black. So let's save and again see our page how it looks like. So this is the table, we got the table. Now let's do the next thing. We'll be adding the empty box which is there, empty cell. We have to add that. So in order to add that, we can see that it is covering about 2 of the columns. So 2 rows have been occupied by this empty cell, so we'll be adding a row with the help of tr tag, and in tr tag under that we have to write how many columns or rows it is using. So we'll be using row span, so we have to enter td tag, and in td tag we'll be using row span, and we have to add the value of 2 since it's occupying 2 of the rows. Similarly for the average tag, it's occupying 2 columns, so we'll be using a column span in that. So next let's write the average thing. Let's add td, and we have to add column span in this time because it's occupying 2 of the columns, so we'll be adding 2 columns. Let's write column span, and again we'll be using 2 since it's covering 2 of the cells. So we have to add a heading over here because it's given average over there, so we have to add that, and average will be included. So next we have again a row span because it's covering again 2 of the rows, so we'll again use row span and 2 for the number, and we have to write red eyes, and we'll be using the closing tag red eyes. And then the closing tag is there. So next let's see how our sheet comes out to be. Let's go and refresh it on Google. So this is how it turns out. Still there are values which have been displaced from their places, so let's just correct that. Let's get back. Now we have to add the details of height and width. So in order to add that row, we'll be again using tr tag, and tr tag we have to again enter the data. So in td tag, one will be writing height and the other one will be writing about weight. So we have written height, and the next we'll be writing is weight. So let's just save it and see how it turns out. So refresh karte hain. So yeah, this is our table. We are ready with our table, and this is how it turned out to be. So see, this was the table we wanted and this is how it exactly replicated. So yeah, that's it for this video. We have exactly replicated whatever we wanted to. So this was it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it and you all found it informative. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button and do comment in the comment section below.